Jeb exclamation point is falling further in the polls. I mean, he's he's in free fall, I think.
Well, what do you think of his new motto, Jeb can fix it?
It's as lame as Jeb exclamation point. Again, what voters are looking for is not a bumper sticker. That's they're looking for somebody who actually has a real plan. His plan is basically pandering to the old Republican idea that the whole problem with business is government being involved and everything should be free form and just get government out of the way. Well, that's not really the problem. It's the misapplication of capital. And here you saw, Heinz and Kraft, another big, gigantic merger, and of course, Mr. Buffett was part of that. And now they're laying off 2,700 people. So if we keep so in Jeb's mind, having big companies just getting regulation off of them, that'll make them hire people. It won't. It'll simply create more bigger companies, and they'll keep firing people because of duplicity in the workforce. So the only way to grow the economy, really, as we know, is through new and small businesses. But he does nothing to address that, other than he says, let's give tax breaks to the rich people so they'll invest more.
Well, that doesn't really distinct him from any of the other Republican candidates, because that's all their motto. But part of Jeb's reboot is he's saying, hey, I'm not this big, loud, boisterous guy. I'm a guy with ideas, and I'm a guy with proven leadership. And look at my track record. And truthfully, and Jeb's people are, hey man, just don't worry. He comes out and says, nervous Nelly, don't panic, it's all good. Because they look back that around this time, Herman Cain was doing big in the polls, and the Newt was doing good, and then eventually everybody fell back to Romney. So probably what they're thinking is, all the sensible people are gonna fall back to exclamation point. They're gonna fall back to me, and I've got so much money in my super PAC that I can just mow forward, and people are gonna drop out. They're probably most worried about sweet little Mark Rubio.
Well,
right
Jeb on Fox News last night attacked Marco like crazy. In fact, he pointed out the only three bills he sponsored were, one was to name a bridge, another one was to name something else, and anyway, he threw Marco totally under the bus and said, yes, he's a friend of mine and everything, but he's essentially a nobody, incompetent. Now, I will say, if you look at Florida when exclamation point was the governor, it wasn't the worst managed state in the country, that's for sure. But they have one thing really going for them that nobody ever really talks about, is that they have a gigantic tourism industry. I mean, Orlando's the #1 tourist destination in the world. You've got a whole bunch of people, Northerners, who flock there, during the winter. So most states like Ohio, nobody flocks to Ohio and pays big time sales tax there.
Well, the other way Jeb lucked out is they had a big housing boom, and the bubble burst right after he left.
Right,
so,
exactly.
And if you look at his polls in Florida, they're not good, and nobody really seems to like him that much in Florida. So I don't know I know what they're thinking. They're thinking that eventually all the sensible people will flock to exclamation point after the crazy outsiders flame out. And so it'll be like Romney 2.0.
Which the result would be just like Romney 2.0.
Right.
Romney 1.0.
Even though the Joyful Tortoise says he would lose the primary to win the election, but he's just he's unelectable on all levels, really. He's just a crappy candidate, and it's because he's never had to. He's not cunning enough.
Well, I think he's not a compelling character.
Right.
He's trying so hard to sound excited about something, he just can't do it.
Yeah, and he's trying so hard to be cool and hip and and have his own interesting sound bites, even though he says, hey, I'm not a guy about sound bites, I'm a guy about ideas. But it seems like he's constantly trying to reboot himself with some sort of sound bite, and they all keep, like, he just recently apologized to France.
He he's breaking new political ground on a daily basis.
Right, right. Which that was basically, here's your line to use against Little Rubio. Here's your line. Use the 3-day work week. It'll go crazy. Everyone will be playing that back, going, man, Bush nailed him. He got him. He got him, and especially with that funny line, he really got him. But now all that telegraph stuff is getting pretty obvious and pretty played out at this point.
Again, the people really don't want to hear somebody tear down another candidate. They want to say, how are you going to make my life better? Tell me how you're going to do it.
Jeb can fix it, dude.
That's what he said.
He can fix it.
Yeah, we as I've said many times before, the fact that you remove regulation or you reduce the size, and he talked about reducing entitlements. Now, I know he's not in Florida anymore, but do you really think that people who paid all that money into Social Security want you taking it somewhere else?
Well, I mean, that's the Republican playbook, is take away people's entitlements and deregulate business and give tax breaks to the rich. I mean, that's their playbook, and in a way, you got to respect them more than the Democrats, because the Democrats, at least they're honest about what their playbook is. At least they say, look, we're gonna give to the rich and take from the poor, straight up, and it's gonna make your life better, because like exclamation point says, it gives you the right to rise. We're giving you the right to rise. I mean, he didn't, how his rising, he was already risen when he started. He had nowhere. He's like from a third generation family of criminals with lots of criminal money. So it's like, where do you rise to when you're already on the top of the mountain? How do you rise? So,
well, yeah, I wouldn't say he's a Horatio Alger story.